Well, hello friends, this is Tommy Oakes, and this is the Story Break. I want to tell you a story about a man who was called Oscar the Grouch. Now, he wasn't that puppet or that Muppet that you have seen on TV. This was a fellow who lived in a community who had a reputation for being a grouch. And the reason he was so grouchy, he claimed, was that his house was just too loud. He'd walk through the house and the floor creaked. He'd try to go to bed and his bed squeaked. The wind blew around the rafters with an ooh, kept him awake. And the wind would blow the branches of the trees at his windows with a swish and a swish. And downstairs in the kitchen, the tea kettle would go hiss, hiss. And he said, with all this hiss, hiss, swish, swish, ooh, creak, creak, squeak, squeak, this place is just too loud. And I can't stand it. Well, he went to a wise man in his town and complained. The wise man said, now what's the problem again? He said, well, it's squeak, squeak, creak, creak, woo, woo, swish, swish, hiss, hiss all the time. My place is too loud. Wise man said, I think I know what you need. What? He said. The wise man said, get yourself a cow. A cow, he said. What do I need a cow for? The wise man said, get a cow. So the man got a cow and went home. And now, in addition to creak, creak, and squeak, squeak, and woo, woo, and swish, swish, and hiss, hiss, all day long he heard moo, moo. Next day he went to see the wise man and said, you just made my life worse. The wise man said, well, I think I know how I can make it better. And the fellow said, how? He said, get yourself a donkey. A donkey? Yeah. So Oscar the Grouch went and got himself a donkey. And that day it was hiss, hiss, creak, creak, squeak, squeak, shh, shh, ooh, and moo, moo, and hee-haw, hee-haw. Well, he said, this is awful. Went to see the wise man the next day and said, my life has just gotten worse. Well, the wise man thought for a minute and said, well, Oscar, I tell you what I think you need to do. You need to get yourself a sheep. A sheep? Yes, a sheep. So we got a sheep. And that day, it was all those other noises with moo, moo, hee-haw, hee-haw, and bah, bah. So the next day he went to the wise man and said, I'm going crazy. Well, the wise man said, let me tell you what to do, Oscar. Here's what you do. Get yourself a rooster and a dog and a cat. A rooster, a dog, and a cat? Yes. So he went and got those three things and took them home. And that day it was meow, meow, roof, roof, cock-a-doodle-doo, bah, bah, hee-haw, hee-haw, moo, moo, and hiss, hiss, swish, swish, creak, creak, squeak, squeak, woo, all day long and up into the night. And he went to see the wise man and said, I'm going crazy. You've not done anything but ruin my life. And the wise man said, I'll tell you how to fix it, Oscar. Go home. Get rid of the dog, get rid of the cat, get rid of the rooster, get rid of the sheep, get rid of the donkey, get rid of the cow, and you'll be all right. So Oscar said, okay. So he went home and got rid of those animals. And all day, that day, there was no meow meow, there was no woof woof, there was no cock-a-doodle-doo, there was no hee-haw, hee-haw, there was no bah, bah, there was no moo, moo. And Oscar walked across his floor and heard creak, and he said, that's a pleasant sound. He got in his bed and laid back and heard squeak, and he said, that's very comforting. He heard the wind blow, ooh, and he said, that just makes me feel cozy. And the branches were swish, swishing against his window like a lullaby. And downstairs, the tea kettle just went hiss, hiss. And Oscar went to sleep and slept like a baby. he got up the next day and he said, I am so thankful for that hiss hiss, that swish swish, that creak creak, and that squeak squeak, and that ooh around my house. What a nice quiet place this is. And that's how Oscar the Grouch became Oscar the Grateful. And that's the end of that. Thanks for coming to the story break. This is Tommy Oaks. See you next time.